أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله مالك الملك مجري الفلك مسخر الرياح فالق الإصباح ديان الدين رب العالمين. وأفضل الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الخلق والمرسلين محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين، واللعنة الدائمة السرمدية الأبدية على أعدائهم إلى قيام يوم الدين. Tawheed is the foundation of our religion. It is the pillar of our religion. It is the origin, and everything else is built upon it. Without Tawheed, there is no Islam. The oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most important belief within our religion. Now within Tawheed, our ulama speak about different categories of Tawheed. They talk about Tawheed al-Dhat, so the oneness of His essence. They talk about Tawheed al-Khaliqiyya, so the oneness in creating. They talk about Tawheed al-Rububiyya wa Tadabbur, so the oneness of lordship and the regulating of affairs. They talk about Tawheed al-Ibadah, the oneness of worship, that you worship only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They also talk about the category of the oneness of obedience, Tawheed al-Ta'ah, or the oneness of governance, so Tawheed al-Hakimiyya, that only Allah is the one that governs, the ones that gives the Sharia, only Him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The oneness of benefit and harm, only Allah can truly by essence benefit you and harm you. The oneness of intention of deeds, so the intention of deeds, Tawheed Niyatul A'mal, that your niyyah is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala faqat. But today we want to talk about a category of Tawheed that not many discuss. And I believe it is one of the most beautiful categories to discuss. And in times of darkness that we are living in today, with everything that is going around the world, it is definitely one of the categories that we need to discuss. Today I want to talk about Tawheed al-Hub. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah al-Baqarah, verse 165, He says, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَتَّخِذُ مِنْ دُونِ اللَّهِ أَنْدَادًا يُحِبُّونَهُمْ كَحُبِّ اللَّهِ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَشَدُّ حُبًّا لِلَّهِ. And of the people are some who take others besides Allah as rivals. They love them as they love Allah. But those who believe love Allah more than anything. You see, here the verse is telling you that to truly attain the real ma'rifah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that you single Him out with your love. Now here, it's a mas'ala i'tiqadiyya, it's a matter of doctrine. Is that what do we mean you do not love anything but Allah? And Tawheed al-Hub, the oneness of love. It means that you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you single Him out, but with the belief that He is a ilah, that He is a God. In a hadith by Imam al-Sadiq, Ibn Tawus narrates this. He says, Imam al-Sadiq says, a man will not attain true understanding of Iman in Allah until he loves Allah more than himself, his father, mother, family, money, and all the people. So al-hubb al-haqiqi, the true love and the reality of love is that you love him more than anything. And there's a beautiful line that I saw in the book of Aqidah by Sheikh Fadl al-Safar. In his book Al-Haqa'iq wa Daqa'iq, he says in volume 1 page 222, he says, Tawheed al-Hubb ويراد به أن لا يحب الموحد غير الله سبحانه وكل حب آخر إذا لا يرجع إلى حب الله يخرج العبد من حد التوحيد. He says, the Tawheed of Love, what is meant by it is that the one who believes in Allah, the one who is a muwahhid, doesn't love anything but Allah, and every form of love other than the love of Allah has to go back to Allah, otherwise he has surpassed the limits of Tawheed. So you see here what Sheikh Fadl al-Safar is trying to say is that we are not saying you cannot love your mother, your father, or the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or the Imams, but you love them because Allah loves them. You want to love them because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to love them. That is the true ma'rifah. And that's why we always tell the brothers and sisters, my beloved brothers and sisters, love Allah, for there is no true love but for Allah, for He is the infinite, the unlimited. How could you love something that is so limited? And once you love something that is limited, you only love it because the unlimited loves it. In another hadith, Imam al-Sadiq says, the heart is the sanctuary of Allah. So do not let anyone live in the sanctuary of Allah except Allah. أليس هذا هو الإيمان? That's why Imam Ali, when they said, have you seen your Lord? He said to them, yes. How can I believe in a Lord that I have not seen? They asked him, how did you see your Lord? He says, in my heart. Because he had true love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the connection was so real that he can feel the causes and effects of Rabb al-Alameen. In another hadith in Al-Kafi Sharif, Imam al-Sadiq says there are three kinds of worship. There are people who worship Allah, the most holy, because of fear. This kind of worship is the worship of slaves. There are people who worship Allah, the most blessed, the most holy, the most high, for His reward. This is the worship of businessmen. There are people who worship Allah, the most majestic, the most holy, for His love. This is the worship of free people, and this is the best kind of love. So he's not saying the other forms of love is completely wrong, but the best kind and the most true kind of worship is loving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, doing it out of love. That He has given you so much, how could you not love this Lord of mercy? And it takes us to truly something to show us the embodiment between awliya Allah, so the authorities of Allah, and their creator. Look what Imam Ali says in Dua Kumail, which I'm sure many of you have heard. He says, وقلبي بحبك متيما. And my heart is enslaved, captured by your love. Imam al-Sajjad in Sahifat al-Sajjadiyya, in one of the prayers, he says, my God, who can have tasted the sweetness of your love and then wanted another in place of you? This is true love, is that once you have felt the causes and effects of truly loving Allah, singling Him out with your love, how can you love anything else? How can you love the dunya? Tawheed al-Hub. And you see the du'as of Ahl al-Bayt, the supplications of Ahl al-Bayt, they are an expression of their love for Allah, their love for their Creator. It's a way of them expressing this love. You want to love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, refer back to the du'as of Ahl al-Bayt alayhum as-salam. For you'll see the true understanding of when a slave loves his master. Now a question will rise. Does the Tawheed of love, so Tawheed al-Hub, mean that we shouldn't fear Allah? Now of course, when you refer back to the Quran, you refer back to the Hadith, we are always advised to fear Allah. But how can you fear someone that you truly love? There's a few answers to this. One is that once you truly love someone, you never want to be separated from them. So the true love, the true fear of a mu'min is to be separated from Allah. And we see this in the du'as of Ahl al-Bayt alayhum as-salam. Is that the true fear of a mu'min is the separation between him and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Is that he is not able to look at the generosity of Allah, the mercy of Allah, the creation of Allah. And don't think this is a matter of Sufism that I'm talking about. No, my brothers and sisters. Of course, Ahl al-Bayt alayhum as-salam also tell us that we should fear the punishment of Allah. Because this relationship between us and the Creator isn't, a'udhu billah wa astaghfirullah, a relationship between a husband and wife. No, at the end of the day, we have acknowledged He is the Lord, the Master. And that do not surpass your love, and do not think that you will not be punished for going against His commandments. How can Allah, who loves you, punish you? Another good question. You see, again, like I said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our relationship with Him, this love between us is the love between the creation and the Creator. It isn't a similar love between a mother and a son, a mother and a daughter, a mother and a child. No. And that's why we have to refer back to the ma'rifah of Allah, to truly understand Him. And once you truly understand Him, this is when you will truly love Him. How does Tawheed al-Hub, the Tawheed of love, benefit us in our day-to-day life? Once a human being allows himself to understand this true love, he will stop loving this limited life. He will stop caring about things that might occur to him. He will understand that the trials and tribulations that are coming his way is because Allah loves you. And once you have this ma'rifah, you will truly understand this love and how this love by the Creator is being expressed. Every relationship needs to consistently develop. And Allah puts you through trials and tribulations because He loves you and wants you to what? Excel as a mu'min. And constantly go up in rank and status. It also allows us to understand that you will stop caring about anything that's going around you. In terms as in, you will only care about what Allah wants you to care about. Because this relationship between you and Allah is the thing that is the foundation of your survival and your existence. And like that, you can tackle things that are occurring in our societies, like mental illness and so on. Because you are so caught up in this relationship between you and Allah that you forget everything else. And it reminds us, these are the nights of Imam al-Qadri that truly showed us the love of Allah. That he couldn't wait to go inside the dungeons of Banu al-Abbas just so he can express his love to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To be constantly in sujood towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Tawheed al-Hub, my brothers and sisters. Let us work on our relationship and our love towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. هذا وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين.